Today we will be honoring all things which doubt, which seek to confirm, and which celebrate practical discovery. What could be more holy than that? As we settle ourselves into this time together, let's remember to doubt everything we hear today. Question it all. Hold up every assertion I make for validity. Place all truth on trial. You are in full command of determining the truth today, as every day. Skepticism can be healthy, so long as it's paired with curiosity and humility. But remember to be gentle with your doubts. Don't be dismissive of others. Be welcoming. Be open. Remember that healthy skepticism always bears a responsibility to the truth, even when you discover that you might have been wrong.
We light this chalice in the spirit of a truth we can never know, a knowledge we will never have, a morality that is never the same one person to another, nor a single hint among us about the true nature of the ultimate reality. Thank you for the light which shines for us alone.
Do you consider yourself to be a skeptic? Do you have doubts? Are they religious doubts, political, scientific? Do you have doubts about humanity? You wouldn't be alone. But let's talk about skepticism itself for a moment. There are a few types of skepticism, and they're referred to as domains. The traditional domains of skepticism are skepticism of the supernatural, moral skepticism, religious, scientific, and the skepticism of certainty of knowledge. In researching this subject, I was shocked, and you may be as well, to discover that I am a skeptic. And not in just a few of the domains, but all of them. I was shocked because I had some preconceived ideas about what it means to be a skeptic. I thought that a skeptic was a humbug, frankly. Someone who didn't participate in belief of any kind other than what could be touched, tasted, seen, heard, or smelled. Skeptics didn't sound like much fun, really. I would miss believing in fairies. I would miss imagining that the trees are hugging me back. I would miss talking to myself, hoping that someone, something is listening. But that's not the limit of skepticism at all. In fact, skepticism is the cornerstone of both Unitarianism as well as Universalism, each in their own way. Unitarianism, at its root, is about a desire to question whether God is three things or one. Having been officially decided it was three, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, by a group of bishops nearly 300 years after the death of Jesus, the Trinitarian view became law then and there. And thus, Trinitarianism was born, leaving in the wake of debate a small, now heretical group calling themselves Arians, the first Unitarians. Our tradition, as we practice it today, has a direct lineage to that moment in the Council of Nicaea 1,694 summers ago. The right to doubt, the right to be skeptical, was firmly asserted, denied, but not eradicated. Universalism has its roots in doubt as well. Over 100 years before the Council of Nicaea, there were theologians such as Origen and Clement of Alexandria who in the 3rd century were not just doubting, but fully denying the idea of eternal damnation and the existence of a perpetual hell. Most Christian cults of the time disagreed with Origen and Clement and were widely touting a belief in a literal hell of endless torment as a punishment for our sins here on earth. It was a convenient power opportunity that, over 100 years later, the Council of Nicaea also comfortably adopted. It is for that reason we still have it in our wider religious culture to this day. Universalism today means many things, but its root is the idea that we are all equally loved by God and equally deserving of grace. It's born of a doubt that a loving God could ever find a reason bad enough to merit perpetual damnation and torture. Universalism placed itself in direct opposition to all power structures who portrayed themselves as the divinely authorized dispensers of one's afterlife experience. It's easy to see how promoting a belief that hell didn't exist pulled all the ammunition right out of their favorite weapon, fear. Universalism was heretical to the state. To doubt in their authority was dangerous. Today, in our culture here in the U.S., we are relatively safe to hold doubts about the nature or even the existence of God. Rightfully so. But there is a backlash to that freedom. Those who use false power to maintain their authority take a dim view of people thinking for themselves. Many have been martyred for it. Peace be upon them. The backlash we now experience in our society comes from the unsettled feeling we all have from those who exercise their right to question reality. Not that we suggest they don't, but it's always painful to undergo change, even changes which most of us agree are necessary. We are all skeptical of the action of change. We are all simultaneously in need of, as well as afraid of, doubt. We're afraid of the answers questions bring. We're afraid that they will undo the things we believe in, the traditions we've come to cherish. Some of us are afraid that questions will reveal there is no God, and some are afraid they will reveal there is. Religious as well as supernatural skepticism also gives room to doubt the existence of anything we can't personally experience. To doubt in God, in UFOs, even in the landing of men on the moon are all widespread doubts. Some skeptics believe the world is flat, and some of those flat earthers actually believe that there are no forests left in the world. They believe that they were all felled millennia ago, and what we have today are merely 90-foot tall shrubs. They believe that religions all have the history of the world completely wrong. But religious and supernatural skepticisms are not always about denial of an idea. Atheists, for instance, bristle at being defined entirely by what they don't believe in. Atheism and agnosticism are in actuality more about recognizing that the truth can never be purely known, and that to assert an unprovable truth is irresponsible. To say that God exists simply because it's in the Bible is an irresponsible claim. Whether or not God exists will never be known through a printing press. It's something far beyond words, if anything. And this is where skepticism of knowledge comes in. Knowledge skeptics believe that it's impossible to ever really know anything for certain. There are so many variables to truth that truth can only be subjective. What's true for you is not always true for me. Even a rainbow is different one eye to another. Does God exist? I can't prove it to you. And I can't tell you that you are required to believe it exists either. Do I believe in God? The answer is principally yes. But in what version? In whose idea of God should I subscribe? Bearded white dude on a cloud isn't going to cut it. Vengeful dispenser of death and destruction and damnation for penalty of sin, not likely. Do I believe in the unknowable God? Maybe. But what is knowing? Do I believe that God is a part of us? Yes, actually. Some claim God is everything. No beginning, no end. Every atom and thought are merely facets of the divine. I like that thought. I may even believe it. Maybe. And then there is moral skepticism. This is an important one because it's where the rubber really hits the road on how we live our lives. It shapes how we think of other people. Moral skepticism defines how we judge and often condemn one another. Whether we should or not is a matter of individual principle. Moral skepticism is one of my favorites. Moral skepticism states that there is no one single overarching moral code that applies to all people. Now, it's necessary here, however, to make a distinction between morals and ethics to understand this. Morals are rules of a particular culture, such as the religious choice for women to cover their heads and dress accordingly to prescribed modesty guidelines. To those who practice it, a bare upper arm on a woman is considered immoral by this code. But most of us would look upon a woman with bare upper arms without a single thought of her so-called immorality. So morals here are defined by the culture for its own purposes. Ethics, however, are intrinsic human societal codes. They are standards largely determined by our need to flourish as a species. There are certain behaviors that work against the advancement of humans on the planet. Murder, theft, and greed literally cause irreparable harm to the most important survival mechanism our species has: community. Ethics determine the character of our relationships with other people. Morals, on the other hand, define our cultural choices and are sometimes informed by ethics, but they are not the same. Ethics are revealed by necessity, not necessarily divine gift. Unless, of course, we need a little celestial kick in the butt. And then apparently God's willing to send a prophet to dispense a new life practice meant to insert itself in the culture over time to gently remind us of the need to be in covenant with one another. But feel free to doubt that. In fact, feel free to doubt everything. Question it all. Not because belief is bad, but because blind faith serves no one. Your lived experience belongs to you. In fact, personal experience is the very first of the 6 sources of Unitarian Universalist faith. But in reality, personal experience is the very first source for everyone's everything. And everyone's personal experience is different. Therefore, a good faith tradition knows when to suggest something and knows when to keep its mouth shut. A good faith tradition is wise enough to get out of its own way and allow divine mystery to germinate within you according to your own context, your own experience, your own thinking. You are the pope of your own religion. You get to be skeptical about every idea you hear or read. You get to decide what is truth for you, but not others. Their truth belongs to them. So long as it is loving, it should be considered welcome. I invite you to take this right and get comfortable with it. It's a big responsibility to not only give yourself permission to question reality, to question authority, to question your own eyes, your own memory, and even the words that people who love you the most in the world tell you as truth, but also allow others their own. It's a responsibility we all need to take and use wisely. It's a responsibility to allow others the same freedom we seek for ourselves. Having faith that when we all have the freedom to determine truth, those truths will come together over time. We must grant those around us the space to question, doubt, learn, poke, prod, fail, and succeed. Our job is not to convince others of our own view, but to create spaces where the natural and unhurried journey toward truth can organically occur for each of us. Our job is to build safe classrooms of respectful debate, now more than ever. In this time of great division, the great, long prophecy battle of good versus evil is seemingly playing itself out among us. Be an angel to this moment. Take comfort in your doubt and allow it to govern your care of the doubts of others. Only good will come of it.
Be at ease now and breathe. Close your eyes if you will and imagine what exists around you. Think of the furniture you know is there even with your eyes closed. Think of the walls which stand even without seeing them. Acknowledge this reality and be confident in it. There is no shame in confidence, so long as it is tempered with humility and wonder. And breathe. There is an old story. It is known as the parable of the blind man and the elephant. Originating in the ancient Indian subcontinent many centuries ago, it has circled the globe in an effort to explain the various perspectives available in one single truth. In the story, a group of blind men who've never seen an elephant before encounter one upon the road. The men surround the elephant and each take stock of one of its parts in an effort to understand the whole. One feels the elephant's side. One feels the tusk. One feels the trunk. Another feels its ear. They argue about their discoveries and claim dishonesty from among the others, for they know with certainty that their perspective is correct. What part of the elephant of ultimate reality are you feeling? Are you holding the tusk or the tail? Are you claiming that life is either like a spear or like a rope? Are you holding the elephant's ear and feeling the large leaf of a plant, claiming that to be reality? Where is your humility? Where is your beginner's mind? Let go of the truth. Let go of needing to be correct. Let them be what they are and pray for truth to reveal itself. Empty yourself of expectation and open yourself beyond what you think you see to discover further layers of truth within. The truth belongs to you, however elusive it may be. It is your right and duty to pursue it, but let it not control you. Let your curiosity become the holiest thing about you. Let your curiosity become the holiest thing about you. Take one final breath and return.